My name is John Murphy. You're listening to the second in a special series of programs we're doing here on the Pan American Express in partnership with Media Services at the university. We're doing a half-an-hour program each week as part of the Pan American Express, which normally airs on Tuesdays from noon to 3. But around 12:30, we're going to have a special segment that's being recorded for TV on Channel 195 on the Eastern Public Channel that's on the Charter cable system that reaches 17 towns in our region. So we welcome you aboard. We're very happy to have you with us. The programs will also be available online for those of you that miss it on the TV. You can catch it online through our site here at Eastern. This program is being produced in conjunction with the Center for Community Engagement and Media Services here at Eastern. And this is our second program in the series. And for the first part of the show, we're going to focus on one of our important local institutions of education. It's called EastConn. It's been here for many, many years, providing a wide range of programs for adults and to connect kids and support for the school system. And we have Robinson Camacho with us today. Robinson, welcome aboard. It's really good to have you here in the studio today, and I welcome you to WECS.
Thank you for having me here, John. I'm happy to be here sharing everything about EastConn.
Great. And for the second half of the program, we're going to have Ed Osborn with us from University Relations. He'll be talking about the new Fine Arts Instructional Center that we're all very excited about. It's a great venue with many great concert and event spaces, as well as, of course, many classrooms for arts here at UConn. So, Robinson, maybe to start us out, you could give us an overview of EastConn and its purpose and mission, and then we'll get into some of the programs happening this fall, okay?
Absolutely. So, John, EastConn mission pretty much is to create support partnerships to help those individuals who are not able to achieve academically. Let's say, for example, they drop out of high school, or for some reason they just didn't finish school. Our main mission is to help them achieve. The way that we want to do that is creating partnership with the school system, other entities around town, of course, so that way we can increase the social economics of town.
Now, I know I had you at a meeting last week at the center, and you were talking about getting some students involved. Maybe we could run down some of the programs, because there's so many ways that education touches our lives, whether it's completing a GED. There's so many issues with people trying to finish school. They have family and job responsibilities, but they're still trying to move ahead in their own life. And you're helping people on that path. So maybe we could take a few minutes and preview some of the ways that those programs meet special needs.
Yes. So let's start with GED programs, of course. EastConn provides both GED in Spanish and English. Now, let me be honest with you. Since 2014, the GED testing changed, as well as the curriculum. It's a little bit more hard now because it goes hand to hand with the Common Core.
Right, that's happening all over the country.
Yes,
it is. Right.
So back in the day, it used to be a little easier, so to speak. Now it's a bit harder, but not impossible. We have a great set of teachers that dedicate their time to instruct the students. We provide quite a few classes from Monday to Friday, so our schedule is easy. We work with the student. Like you said, many of these families, they either work or they have some other things to do. So we try to accommodate their time with our time, and most of the time it works. Also, we have another program called CDP, or Credit Diploma Program, which is very similar to high school. So if you're a student who dropped out of high school and you have, let's say, anything over 10 credits, so that might be the program for you. Okay, it's similar to high school. It's classroom oriented. They have to give a certain amount of hours, and attendance is very important. But at the end of the day, either CDP or GED, you will receive a high school credential. That's the most important part. Also, we provide citizenship classes for those who wants to become U.S. citizens. One of the requirements is that the person has to be bilingual, of course.
That's right.
And during those classes, we instruct that individual on the process and how to take the test. We have quite a few other programs that we offer in different areas, on the Danielson area and other satellites, like NEDP, which is another type of high school credential. That is more like a life portfolio or life skill portfolio. And those are for the ones who don't want to be in a big classroom environment or are kind of afraid of testing.
That's an issue for many students, the pressure. There's so much of a
Absolutely.
focus on testing these days. And now they have to measure results, but that's just one way to measure results.
Absolutely.
Now, I should mention, too, from our previous meeting that the course you offer to help people become citizens is free, even though they have to pay government fees, I believe. There are costs.
Absolutely.
But the program you offer is free to the public.
Yes, every program that we offer through our adult education department is completely free. Now, for the citizenship process, they will pay to the government just to get the process started. But to us, it's completely free.
Right. And how long would that course take? If somebody was planning ahead for their schedule, what kind of a time commitment is involved to succeed?
Well, usually we try to keep the individual for at least a year because there's a lot to learn about the process.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, it's up to individual how fast they want to go.
Now, for the GED program, if I understand our prior conversation, that is also a pretty big time commitment that someone has to give to succeed properly and to end up at graduation.
Absolutely, yes. Now, GED, we're talking about 4 different subjects: math, science, social studies, and language arts. So you will have to pass every single one of them at the end. It's time consuming, absolutely.
Yeah.
Specifically the math part, because you have to learn quite a few different subjects of math, let's say in a year or 2 years. So it all depends on how fast the student wants to go. If the student want to be able to succeed fast, we work with the student.
And it's got to be difficult because if you've been out of school for a long time, getting back in the groove of heavy studying and doing homework and practicing is an extra kind of a demand on your time.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes difficult for the students, especially, like you said, when they haven't been in school for quite a few years, although we have different levels of GED. So I was going to talk a little bit about that process, which is when they come to our site, the first thing we do is we start a registration process and an assessment process. That assessment will give us a score in which we will place you in the right class. So we're not going to be guessing or placing you on a level 2 when you might be a level 3. That's going to make you bored, right? And you're going to end up leaving.
Yeah.
Or place you on a level 3 when you're level 1. You're going to feel the pressure and you're not going to come back.
That's right. It's just an overload.
Yes, so what we do is we place you in the right class, and as soon as the teacher or professor thinks that you're ready to move on to the next level, we will test you again and we will move you up.
Now, one thing we talked about before was how students can get involved with internships. You were at a meeting last week for the Center for Community Engagement. They have many community partners. You know, the center each year has about 1,000 students contribute 20,000 hours of volunteer service to 35 organizations, including yours. So maybe for students that may be listening or watching, how can they get involved and integrate helping you with your good work with their own academic programs?
Yes, so the first step will be to go through their CCE department, and they will get a hold of us. And we have plenty of opportunities. If the student wants to be on an educational area, we are more than willing to give them that opportunity. Either it's GED in English, GED in Spanish, ESL classes, which we also provide, citizenship, CDP. We also have an excellent program now that we're going to be running at the high school with our pre-K student parents, which we actually, we train them on ESL. We also train them on customer service, which is a national certification. And we also going to be providing GED classes for those parents as well. So if the students from Eastern wants to join us with their time, yeah, absolutely. Through the CCE department, we can make this happen.
Now, how long have you been with EastConn now?
Well, in this position, I've been with EastConn since December. I started it about a year and a half ago as a GED instructor. And before that, I was a family liaison at Windham Public Schools.
Yeah. You know, one thing I like to share is stories of individual people because that humanizes everything. I know last year some of the students at the Center for Community Engagement were in the Petey Green prison, and they were helping some of the inmates with their GEDs. And one young woman was, her life was really changed when she attended this guy's graduation ceremony, and her little time that she contributed to help him succeed made a huge difference to her life. Do you have any stories of individuals that have succeeded, that have gone the path and have actually gotten through and moved ahead?
Absolutely. Actually, there's quite a few stories that we have. One of them is this lady who started it with us about 2.5 years ago. When she first started it, she thought that she was not going to be able to achieve her GED. But we gave her some empowerment, and she decided to stay. She graduated last year.
Wow.
It was amazing. She was actually one of our key speakers. And now she's moving to go to QVCC and obtain her degree. So that was amazing. Also, this year we had 5 veterans, all the way from World War II to the Vietnam War, who were given an honorary high school diploma. That was amazing, very moving story. So every year we have different stories. Success makes us feel better. When a student is successful, we know we did our job.
Right. What do you think the biggest area is that EastConn serves? Out of all the different programs you have, where do you think you're touching the most people?
Well, we service 33 different towns.
Wow.
Now, when it comes to programs, I believe between ESL and GED, that's our forte. Windham, for example, we have a little over 40% of Hispanic population, and that's a little over 7,000 individuals in town. Now, how many specifically don't have a high school diploma, we still don't know. We're working on that, or as well as ESL. But we're trying to outreach those individuals to come to us. I'll say, I'm going to repeat myself here, the best way to improve social economics in town is by improving education. And the first step is high school credentials.
Yep. That's a core thing that affects every person. And that kind of brings me to one other question that's a very sensitive one, but we have people in our community that are doing wonderful jobs, wonderful things. They're great people, but they're still undocumented, and they're struggling with how can they move ahead the right way to have a life, to have a success with their family, and still deal with the legal system that's still in the process of changing. Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice or thoughts for people that are struggling with this as to how they can find a way to move ahead and do the right thing and still let the system work?
All right. So, first of all, we don't look at that so you can be undocumented. We still welcome you. We will provide the same services that we will provide to a U.S. citizen. We have actually quite a few individuals who graduated last year from our GED classes who are undocumented. Now, what I can tell them is start the process to become legal if possible. I know it costs a lot of money.
Yes.
But nothing is impossible in this life. They have done everything they could to be here. Why not continue? Also, achieving is not just for those who are young. Now we have a huge population of students who are between 40 and 60 years old. So we encourage them as well to stay in school and even go to college or let's say to get at least a certificate degree. Mm-hmm. So if you can do it, do it. You're the only one stopping yourself. No one else is.
Well, that's a wonderful way to wrap up our first conversation here. I'm so happy to hear that you're supporting those folks because there are many good people that are stuck in the system right now and they want to find a way out of it, and the system is still figuring that out.
Absolutely.
But helping them along the way is a beautiful thing, and I really commend all of you for helping that process.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, you know, we're coming to the end of the first half of our program today. This is a new series we're doing about Eastern and with Media Services, and I want to thank Robinson Camacho with us. He is the Adult Program Specialist. What's the best way for people to reach you to follow up, Robinson?
Well, they can actually call me at my office, 860-423-2591. That's the main number, and they can either leave a message or they can email me at rcamacho, RCAMACHO, at eastcon.org.
And maybe one last question, too. If people are able to use the Internet, maybe they have a computer or a phone, or maybe they get to a library with a computer, what's the website and what kind of information is available to help people follow up on our conversation?
Yes, so the website will be www.eastcon.org, and they will find every bit of information that we share here today. And this website also can be translated, so they will find it in English and Spanish.
Excellent. Well, I thank you again for your good work in our community, and I wish you great success this year. We'll have you back in the wintertime with an update.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to take a break for a short song from Van Morrison, and then we'll come back with the conversation with Ed Osborn from University Relations about the Fine Arts Instructional Center here and its many programs for the community. Stay with us. Okay, that was Van Morrison with Satisfied from one of his recordings from the 1980s called Common one of my favorite Irishmen. Always happy to share the music of Van Morrison here on the program. Well, my name is John Murphy. We're back for the second half of our new series here on WECS. It's focusing on life at Eastern and the Center for Community Engagement. And we have people here each week that are involved with Eastern's activities, events, and programs, or some of its community partners. And this is our second show in the series, and I'm very happy to have in the studio with me today Ed Osborn. He's the Director of University Relations here at Eastern. He's been here on our campus for 14 years, serving the communication needs of the university. So, Ed, first of all, welcome to the studio. It's great to have you here on the radio.
Nice to see you again, John.
Great. Now, the main thing we have Ed here for today is to share the wonderful news about our new Fine Arts Center facility. It's a great place for events, concerts, performances, and teaching as well. And Ed's here to kind of give us an overview of how that new facility came into being and what its purpose is, and how the community can get involved in so many ways with what happens inside. So maybe Ed, a little bit about the center and the plan that started it and how it got to be constructed.
Well, I'm going to go back to 1946 when the Schaefer Hall, our former only building other than Burr Hall, which was a dormitory, and the Noble Hall, which was our educational lab school where our student teachers taught.
Yeah.
So our main classroom and administrative building was Schaefer Hall. It was built in 1946. And it was basically built to replace the original normal school building, which had burnt down in a horrendous fire in 1943. And I go back to 46 because at that time, that housed everything on the campus. It was a one-building campus. And over time, of course, the enrollment grew. We had the influx of students after the GI Bill after World War II. And there were other social trends and forces in the United States that caused enrollment to grow all across higher education. So we moved up the hill, if you will. But our performing arts and visual arts students and faculty stayed at Schaefer. So they were there for many, many years. And what initially was the gymnasium in Schaefer Hall became the Harry Hope Theater, our black box studio theater, where you would see almost all of our theatrical performances.
Yep, been there many times.
Our music department, basically their concerts were held in Schaefer Auditorium, I'm sure it was a beautiful auditorium then. And in fact, Schaefer Hall, having been vacated because of the new Fine Arts Center, is offline right now. We're going to be renovating that, and it will become a dormitory. And the Harry Hope Theater will revert to being a gymnasium. But if you went down even 10 years ago to Schaefer Hall, you would find, among other things, that our sculpture program stored all of its clay and other equipment in what was a converted shower room. So they put up with a lot over the years, and I have to applaud our faculty and our students in those programs, in the visual arts, in the theater, and in the music programs for pretty much being patient, doing some wonderful performances, doing some amazing things. I mean, just for the audience's awareness, if they're not aware, our music program, for instance, went over to Austria and performed in Vienna at Mozart's 250th anniversary about 10 years ago. Since then, they have performed 5 times at Carnegie Hall. And our chamber singers in the last 12 months have twice performed in public with Josh Groban, the international known artist. So some very talented students and faculty have been very patient, have been willing to work out at Schaefer Hall. Even as early as the 1970s, there was starting to be some discussion as the campus was growing and we were starting to see buildings in what we call the North Campus today. Well, maybe we should have a new building for the arts. And in fact, back in 2008, we put together and launched and opened the new science building. So it was fitting that we finished the master plan for the campus with the performing arts. We all know that in 2008, the stock market took a tumble. And I think that the nation's economy and therefore our state budget and the sources we get our bond money from to build buildings have all slowed down and taken a hit. But we always had the Fine Arts Center as a plan in terms of part of our strategic plan, part of our master plan for facilities. And when the governor and the legislature and the bond commission said we're ready to fund some more buildings here in the state of Connecticut, we were ready. We had the planning, we had everything in place. We got the money to do the architectural plans, which took place between 2012, 2013, and we actually broke ground in August of 2013 and opened this past January. So that's a little of the history.
Wow. And
so it's taken a while, but our faculty and students not only have been patient until we got the new building opened, but they've really reveled in it and enjoyed it immensely in these 8 to 9 months since it's opened.
I know. I had a tour recently of the facilities for possible recordings of video programs, and it's stunning. Just the facility, the layout, the use of space, so many windows, so much light everywhere. And there are 3 different size performance areas for different kinds of events, so it gives you a lot of programming flexibility, I imagine.
Everyone from the governor of the state of Connecticut to parents of students have dropped by, obviously, in the last few months as the building has opened, and everyone has been amazed at how beautiful the building itself is. Our students and faculty will tell you it's a joy, an honor, and an inspiration to be in those spaces. I have to say that we were very fortunate. The architect, there were 2 architectural firms working in tandem, the SLAM or SLAM Collaborative out of Glastonbury and the William Ron and Associates group out of Cambridge, Massachusetts. Ron has put together similar facilities at places like Williams College, and SLAM has worked with schools like Duke and other Northeastern and others. So some amazing talent just in terms of the design of the building. And as you say, John, so much. I use the word geometry. There's just amazing lines of sight. You've got lots of windows, arcs, curves. You can see, if you go up to the 3rd floor, you can see the rest of the campus past the science building to the clock tower. You can look up and see the Mountain Dairy up in Mansfield on the hill. It's truly inspirational for our students. And you mentioned the performing spaces. We have a 400-seat concert hall. I'm going to get back to that in a second. By the way, we have a major concert series I want to promote in a second. We have a 254-seat proscenium theater with all of the amazing state-of-the-art audiovisual and theatrical equipment so that they can stage performances on that stage in the same way people do on Broadway.
I know they can hang and fly sets up and down.
They have all the flyway stuff. Yeah, and then, excuse me, we have a 125-seat studio theater, which allows for the traditional black box types of productions. And not to be ignored, we have our art gallery, which is not only beautiful, larger space than we had at Schaefer, but it's very flexible space. There's movable walls. You can have one giant room or small cubbies where you can put special exhibitions in. And our first exhibit for the fall is just opening, and that's a faculty exhibit with 3 of our faculty. So a lot of wonderful things happening over there. I should just say, anybody who from the public or from the campus who wants to know what's going on, if they go to the Eastern homepage, at the top of the page, they can click on the horizontal menu. It says calendars. There's an online calendar. All the events that are happening this fall are there. And also they can go to easternct.edu / arts, ARTS, and they can get a total panoramic view of what's going on in that building.
I know people have been talking about this for over a year, about different kinds of programming, different kinds of events to bring the community on campus and to have special campus events as well. And I think it's great that you're going to mention the David Foster Family Foundation. David is a real legend in our area. He's one of the founders of Shabu. He's a wonderful musician. I've interviewed him several times on the programs over the years. And his Foster Family Foundation is helping Eastern raise money for Windham High School students with this series. So I'm very happy to have you share the good news about these major events.
Well, I'm glad that you know a little bit about it. Let me see if I can share a little bit more. So as we all know, one of our wonderful friends, Kevin Crosby, passed away suddenly a few years back.
From the Chronicle, yeah.
He was the publisher of the Chronicle. I have to tell you, I used to sit with his wife and him when his daughter was the leader for the marching band, and my son played on the Windham football team, and we would sit together in the stands at the football games. Wonderful couple. Kevin was just a warm-hearted soul, great booster of everything Willimantic. So whether it's the high school or Third Thursday or whatever it was, his family, of course, was just so supportive of what was going on. And after Kevin passed, a few people, you mentioned David Foster and his wife Marilyn with the Foster Family Foundation. Also, Elaine Austin with the Austin family, the Jeffrey Austin Family Foundation, and Pat Crosby herself. The three of them got together and created an endowed scholarship in Kevin's memory. It's for Windham High School graduates who are attending Eastern, and there is while there is a preference for that they participate in music, they don't have to, but those students would be given preference, and we already have a handful of students already attending. And David came to us several months ago and said, I'd like to do more. I'd like to be able to expand that scholarship. I've got an idea. His idea was to bring music to the Fine Arts Center. This will be our first major concert series. These will be ticketed shows, meaning there'll be paid admission. Most of our events are free. But we have some world-class musicians.
Totally.
And if I may, I'd like to just share those dates with everybody. So David Foster and the Mohegan Sun All-Stars, which is David's band all the way back to 1971 when he started the Shubu All-Stars, very much of an R&B repertoire. State-of-the-art, world-class musicians. I've seen them, and they've performed throughout Connecticut. He will open the concert series at 8 o'clock on October the 22nd. On November the 5th, a Cuban trumpeter, Arturo Sandoval, Grammy Award winner, will be playing again on November 5th at 8 o'clock. And then in January the 13th, which is a Friday, those first two shows are Saturdays. January the 13th is a Friday, and Pat Metheny, the noted jazz guitarist, I think he probably invented a whole new style 30 years ago.
He sure did.
He's still playing, and he will be performing that night with his band. Again, that's at 8 o'clock. And then on Saturday, May the 20th is our last show. Band out of Buffalo, New York, who sold millions of albums by the name of Spyro Gyra.
Oh, my goodness.
Great jazz quintet. So it's a lot of jazz going on. And if anyone's interested in finding out more, they can, again, go to easternct.edu/jazzitup, J-A-Z-Z, Jazzin' It Up, rather, J-A-Z-Z-I-N-I-T-U-P, Jazzin' It Up. We're looking forward to, now we have 400 seats to fill each show. It's not a lot. There's a huge public interest. We might find a way to have additional shows. But at this point, all of the proceeds will go to the Kevin Crosby Endowed Scholarship Fund for Windham scholarships for Windham High School graduates attending Eastern.
That is a beautiful thing, Ed. And it's a win-win for the community because these are, as you said, world-class musicians that don't come out here very often. There's very few venues in our area that have that capacity, and it's really great to be able to have it right here on campus. It's going to be a real draw.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have not had musicians like this to campus, and to be able to know that all of the proceeds will go to supporting students who might not be able to afford a college education otherwise is
That's right.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Also, I'm speaking with other faculty to have people on the program in the months ahead to talk about the different theater productions, some of the plays, some of the different performances and concerts. So we'll have an ongoing connection on the program here to have the faculty and students show off what they're doing now that they have a brand new home.
This past spring we started off with over 40 events with the visual arts, the theater, and the music departments, as well as the art gallery. I would say, just looking at the list, there's at least that many scheduled for this fall. Throughout the year, we're going to have 3 main stage productions through the theater department. Our music department, again, is going to provide everything from faculty and student recitals to concerts. And, of course, our visual arts faculty and students will be presenting their artwork as well. So we're very excited that we have an opportunity to share this facility with the residents of Willimantic and the greater Windham community. We said all along that this needed to be a public resource for our region, and everyone who's been able to show up so far, I think, has been truly amazed with this facility. I have to thank our Board of Regents and our legislature for supporting this.
Yeah.
I know sometimes people, when the economy is static, people look at ways to cut, and unfortunately, things like the arts have traditionally been easy things to go after. We've not done that. I think one of the reasons is that people understand that in our liberal arts college like Eastern, it's important that all of our students get a background in the sciences and the arts. And in fact, every Eastern student has to take science classes, has to take mathematics, has to take English composition, has to take several courses in the arts, and that's so that they may have a broad-based and well-rounded education. So the new facility is not just for the majors in those programs, it's for every single student on our campus.
And Ed, maybe one last question before we wrap up, because you've been here 14 years, and congratulations on 14 years in October. Since you first came here, what do you think has been the biggest change you've noticed? Out of all the things that have happened here, the school has had so many changes, but what impresses you the most in 14 years as the biggest change that's had the biggest impact?
Well, change is an interesting word. I would say that there's been an evolution. It's not so much a 90-degree shift from where we were headed, but I think the evolutionary step that we've taken, we've grown, we more than doubled our footprint in terms of the number of buildings over the last 20 years or so. Our enrollment has continued to grow and is growing again this fall, which is not the case with most of the other schools here in Connecticut. But I would say that the thing that I'm most proud of, to be part of, is that we've really acquiesced around the notion of what is a liberal education, what's a liberal arts education here at Eastern. And I just sort of mentioned a little bit of it, which is that our students all have to take, and they can decide which classes within those categories. But as part of our liberal arts core, they have to take arts classes, they have to take science classes, including a lab class, they have to take a level and pass a level of mathematics. But that's just sort of the course level work. What really happens, and my daughter is a graduate here, and if you were to ask her, what did Eastern give you, she would say, it gave me the confidence to think. Now, someone might say, what does that mean? We all have brains from when we were born. We're talking about advanced thinking, about critical thinking, about research skills, about being able to gather data, analyze it, and be able to report your findings either in writing or articulate them orally. And I think our students discover that not only can they think, not only can they stretch themselves intellectually, but that they're encouraged to ask questions. They're encouraged to even question the status quo. They're encouraged to seek alternative solutions to problems, and we certainly have problems to solve as a society. That's what we mean by a liberal education. And we've really, I think, across the institution, really focused on what that means, including applied learning. So 95% of our students take an internship, a paid co-op, do undergraduate research, engage in service learning through the Community Center for Community Service, and or do undergraduate research. So they're applying the skills that they learn in a classroom in a real-life setting. And that puts them in a great position to be employed once they get out of here. So a lot of people, I think, over the years have wondered whether a liberal education prepares someone to be employable for a career, and our answer is absolutely yes. I think that our students are demonstrating that education may be the best way to prepare for a world of change. So it's not just about getting that first job, but are you ready and able to change and alter your knowledge base, adapt to new skills, adapt to new technology in a world that changes every day? I think that our ability as a campus to understand that, to teach to that, to have our students and our alumni understand the type of education they're getting, that it's a value-added experience, all of that has really blossomed over the time that I've been here. And I think that everyone here in the administration, from our president who was here when I was starting, which was David Carter, to our president today, Elsa Nunez, who's absolutely committed to that approach. I would say Dr. Nunez not just advocates for liberal education on this campus, but she's the vice chair of the board of directors of the American Association of Colleges and Universities, which is the advocacy group at the national level for liberal education, liberal arts education. And next year she'll be the president. So she gets the opportunities across the country to speak publicly about the liberal arts. It's what we believe in here. A lot of schools, I think, try to do a lot of different things for a lot of different people. We certainly have a range and a diversity of background in terms of the students that come here. Some are part-time learners, some are full-time learners, some are graduate students. But we have this fundamental core belief in a liberal education. And I think that's really come a long way in terms of our understanding of what it means and how we teach it. So that would be, John, to answer your question, I think the evolutionary step that we've taken.
Well, Ed, I want to thank you very much for coming by today to share this good news, and thank you for all your good work for the school and your whole team in university relations over all the years.
John, thank you for having me.
Okay, and we'll have Ed back with other people during the year to update you on other programs and activities and plans for the school. And that's how we're going to wrap up the second program in our series here at Eastern. This is part of the Pan American Express, so it's co-produced by the Center for Community Engagement along with WECS Radio and Media Services here at Eastern. So we thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll have another edition soon. We'll also be able to have these programs online for you to watch anytime. So thank you again, and we'll see you for our next episode soon.